Okay, guys. So I wanted to make a quick video on the questions that we should ask during a interview, and this is for a tech role, so for engineering, but I think it can apply for a lot of other roles. So I just wanted to make this video to go over the critical questions that we should be asking and the reason why we are asking these questions. So I'm doing it in a form, but obviously you can just do it via text or in a chat. So it doesn't really matter if it's a form or chat, but here are some of the core questions that I think are the most important. So starting out, I think it's very important to just like state what the role will be like super clearly. And then I guess one thing that I noticed is that the the statement or the description of the task, there has to be some reason why someone will drop off. So what I mean is that in a lot of cases, people will make a job description that is like only the positives, and there's no actual reason why someone would say no, right? So I found that that is like a very key component, which is that um, you have to call out who exactly you're targeting, and then why someone should drop out. So for this case, this actually isn't the best statement. Probably what I will say is that we expect um, you to ship fast with a focus on user with customer experience and good design. So yeah, so if they can't ship fast or they don't care about these things, then they're gonna leave. So just having this in the first statement is very important. Next, what I found is that a lot of people, they either work at agencies, and the devs at agencies aren't naturally bad, but what I found is that they will just overcharge you. So typically what we should do is just ask if they work at a agency. If they work at an agency, then just don't even consider their application. One thing to note is that we don't want to immediately disqualify them, which means just keep asking them a few more questions, and then later on, we can have a filter where if they are working at a agency, then just show them the thank you page. So the reason for this is because let's say they work at a agency and then they click no. Sometimes people will lie, especially if they get shown the thank you page immediately after. So just give them a few questions that may seem real, and then just show them the thank you page. So that's the reason why we have it like that. So the next is asking them their income like current income and the desired income. So the reason for this is because generally the reason someone won't work with us is because either they're already making too much money and we can't pay them more, or they want to hit some income um, amount that is just useful for us to know if we can help them reach it, right? So if they want to hit like 100K per month and like our job clearly can't get them there, then it doesn't make sense for us to um, work with them. But like this isn't a question that you should filter out, because obviously if they're a really good engineer or a really good designer or whatnot, then you like there should be some flexibility in how much you pay. But generally, it's just good to ask them like what are their expectations. Otherwise, it's a waste of everyone's time if they get really deep into the interview cycle and the like amount can't be hit. So generally, these are good questions. Which is ask them how much they're currently making, and then ask them how much they want to make. So this one should be actually desired. So the first question is how much they're making. The second one is how much they want to make. And then yeah, this one is very key. So like, we need to ask them how much hours they can spend on this project. So if they can only spend 10 hours per week, and we need them to spend 20 hours per week, then this won't work, right? So this is a very key question to ask. And then the thing that I want to note is that the only question that we should be filtering out on is if they're a agency. The reason that we don't want to filter out for this question is because let's say they can only work 10 hours, but they're a really, really good designer. We still want to work with them, but we might have to hire someone else. So this really isn't like a filter out question. So after we ask these, we will ask them if they use Claude Code or Codex. So in this case, since we're hiring for an engineer, it's like pretty good. It's a pretty good question because like if they don't use these, and these are like the AI tools of this industry, then we shouldn't work with them because like yeah, that's it. So like let's say we're hiring a designer, right? Then we would ask other questions like, do you use Figma? Do you use Canva? Let's say we're hiring a video editor, then we would ask, do you use CapCut or any of these other tools? So this is like very hyper relevant. So we asked them, do they use Claude Code? And honestly, like if they don't use Claude Code, we shouldn't really even work with them. But this in our current form, we won't filter them out. But like honestly, if they don't use Claude Code, we really shouldn't work with them. And then the next question is how many hours a week do you use these tools? A good response would be like if they use it more than like honestly 20 hours. Yeah, like 20 hours. So we should have like 0, 5, 10, 20, 40, 60, 80. Yeah, probably 60 is good enough. And then the last one is I decided if we should add like something to test if they use Claude Code, but I don't really think this is a good question because people will probably just Google this. But this one is very like, oh yeah. So one thing that I want to mention is that like the questions have to be very, very selective. So like it's a waste of time to ask them questions that they can just use chat GPT on. So the question should be just focused on what they've already done. So stuff that is really hard to lie on. So this one is just asking them what is the most extraordinary thing that they built. So this should be like a text area, and let's just say 200 plus words or 100 plus words. Honestly, 50 words is fine. Okay, so you ask that, and then yeah. So this is the final piece, which is like the interview. So we want to have all the information for the interview, and then include a loom. So they can watch the loom and maybe embed the loom inside the tally. So they're going to watch the loom and then they're going to do the task. So for this engineering role, what they're going to do is they're going to actually do coding. So they're going to do coding, and this will be highly dependent on what we're hiring for. So if we're trying to hire a designer, then the task will be design related. So this will be super high touch. So this will take like maybe 20 to 35 minutes. And then, oh yeah, before we give the interview, we have to mention that this is a long-term job. So this will actually help increase the conversion rate for people to actually do the test, because most people are just looking for something that's stable and long-term. So we need to mention this before the interview step. So for this one, it's going to be coding and then a quick loom of explaining what they code. So this is super important. So like I'll explain both parts. So the first part is asking them to do coding. So this is important because it just shows how much they're able to do in a short amount of time, and they're allowed to use AI. That's also something I need to mention, which is you are allowed to use AI. And then, so yeah, they need to do the task, and then the other thing is that they need to have a loom that explains what they actually did. So the first thing is just to make sure that they use some video recording that is public, so it's easier so that you don't have to download anything. So here we should probably mention that the video must be public, either a public Google Drive or public loan. And if they don't follow the step, honestly, probably don't even consider their thing. But basically what they'll be doing in that video is explaining what they actually coded or what they actually designed. And this step is very important because you can see their talking skills and how well they can explain stuff. So this is very important because like later on, if they have really poor talking skills, then they probably won't be a good fit. And then last piece is just make sure that all form data is saved, even if they don't submit, just so that we gather all the data. So I think in Tally there's like a setting for that. And then last but not least, just ask for their WhatsApp so that it's easier to talk with them and we don't have to ask them later. But if they don't give it, so yeah, okay. So I will leave it at that for these questions, and I just want to go over like what is the general the template so that we can reuse this for all of our hiring. So basically, I will start off with like we're asking them if they work at agency. So okay, actually we're asking their current status. So this is their current financial status and their current job status. So this is very key because like based on like how much they already have work, then it will impact how much work we will give them, right? So the first thing is just to ask their status. After we ask their status, we need to have some filter about their skill level. So this can be 1 to 2 questions, and then after we ask their skill level, we will give them the interview, and then the last step is we just review it, and then if it's good, then we will text them on WhatsApp. One thing to note is that, what was I thinking? Oh yeah, so this is like really good, especially if it's a form because you can just send the form to everyone on like LinkedIn Jobs or on Upwork. So this will save a lot of time because we don't have to chat with them. We can just tell them to fill out the form, and then probably we need a way for them to tell us when they finish. So probably in the form itself, we need to tell them to message us when you're done with the task so that we don't need to follow up with them. But yeah, just thought I think this will save a lot of time because like there's a ton of wasted time chatting with applicants, and this thing you can just like spam out and tell them to fill out the entire thing, and then you just create a new form for every job. So hope that's useful.